right, well, let's get started. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in for a true treat today. We have some powerful information that could literally change your life. This is the Kill the Debt webinar. This is Mark Emery of the Lighthouse Law Club. This presentation is being brought to you by the Lighthouse Law Club in concert with Brilliance in Commerce and Tonson Fairmount. I want to, first of all, welcome you, and we're going to get right to the point here tonight and dig into the essential ingredients of what it takes to eliminate unsecured debt that is created by companies that are in the United States of America. We cannot vouch for the legal systems in other countries, and so that's what our focus is here on tonight. We'll be talking about unsecured debt, credit cards, student loans, finance companies, things along those lines. Okay, we're not going to be talking about mortgages, secured debt like auto loans. That's another bailiwick all in itself. So I'm very happy to have you with us. I hope that you are serious about this, because not only are we talking about addressing a personal problem that we all have with unsecured debt, but we're dealing with a systematic structure of fraud. All right, and so the results, the benefits go far beyond your own personal situation. And when we combine the two, it makes for an extremely effective and productive process to accomplish some very important things. Okay, so with that, let me go on. We'll get started. All right, we're talking about freedom from debts for Americans. For all countries, we can talk about freedom from taxes. That's really another discussion altogether. And both Brilliance in Commerce and the Lighthouse Law Club gets very involved in creating freedom using various means and freedom in various forms. Okay? Tonight we're not going to talk about the taxes. We're going to talk about freedom from unsecured debt. That's our focus. All right? So to be clear, having said that, let me introduce Tonson Fairmount, the founder of Brilliance in Commerce. He's been in the arena for quite some time. He's been a special invited guest speaker on international financial conferences that have been held around the world. He's been on a number of radio shows. He is the author of the ebook, which I hope you already have, based on the instruction that you received in the email that we sent you. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. He can tell us a little bit more about that. But Tonson has been on the cutting edge of freedom technology for a number of years. And so this is his program that we'll be discussing here this evening. And with that in mind, let me go ahead and shut up and turn it over to Tonson. So Tonson, welcome. Feel free to maybe tell us a little bit more about yourself, and we'll continue on with the essential ingredients of getting out of debt. So again, welcome, and go ahead.
Thank you so much, Mark. You know, anyone rising in awareness these days recognizes that there's something amiss both in government and in banking, and at the same time, one can be fortunate enough to find solutions. And this started for me actually around 1990, when I started discovering that income tax doesn't go to build bridges, schools, roads. And so I got involved in solutions to that. And I also started discovering a whole other legal system, a whole other set of commercial principles. And through the 90s, was invited to speak on a lot of these topics. And then in 2002, I did my first cancellation of unsecured debt. And so This is the cover of the ebook. If anyone's able to see the screen here, for those of you listening by audio, we're showing the cover of my book, The Insider Secrets of How to Outright Cancel 100% of Your Unsecured Debt. And as Mark said, that pertains to Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover cards, unsecured lines of credit, student loans, but we call secured debt that which is backed by a house or a car, a boat, or a plane. And the same scam is running there too, but it takes a lot more money and legal expertise to defeat those debts. The unsecured debts are fairly easy, relatively, to defeat, and that's what we'll be talking about today. So you have two different kinds of debt. You have bad debt and fake debt, and then there's also good debt. Now, I'll just say briefly that good debt is for business capital. It's when you want to build a business, make investments, produce a profit, access the capital in the credit system that is set up in the world today. And if you do that in a smart way, there's nothing wrong with it. You've done it voluntarily, you're doing it for productive purposes. It's helping, presumably, the economy if you're making wise investments, and if it's life-supporting, not hurting anybody. That's the good use of debt. But there is a plague that has been ransacking the world, as you know. And this was deliberately fostered by the bankers. I always recommend everyone read the book, The Creature from Jekyll Island, by G. Edward Griffin, which goes into the history of the Federal Reserve System. And it's a pretty much similar system around the world, where basically we got rid of real money. We got rid of gold, we got rid of silver, we got rid of the receipts that represented gold and silver. We got rid of even the fractional. They call it today fractional, but it's not really. It's actually fiat. Fiat means really nothing backing it. And there's a whole history. We won't go into too much today, but suffice it to say, we have a system where there is no backing to the monetary system. And that kind of debt where someone needed medical expenses, they're trying to survive, they ran short of money, they got laid off the job, they ran into a financial crisis, they couldn't pay their mortgage or their rent, they needed to take some money from a loan and cover basic survival and basic needs, and then had a hard time paying it back. That kind of debt exists because the bankers have skimmed trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars out of the economy and put them into dark projects that money would have gone into the hands of the average person and would not have then allowed most of mankind to be struggling as they are today, had it been evenly distributed. And I cite the example of the Buckminster Fuller in his book, Operating Manual for Spaceship Earth, in which he did a global calculation. He came up with the gross world product, means all the money in the world, all the wealth in the world, in all the banks. This is back in the 1970s. And he determined that if you divide it by the world's population, every last man, woman, and child on the planet would be a multimillionaire, thus demonstrating mathematically that there was no shortage. And this means that there is enough to go around, but it has not been evenly distributed. And that is why one should not feel guilty if one has a $30 or a $40 or a $50,000 or even a $100,000 credit card debt and one uses our Liberty system to cancel it, because it should have been money in your pocket in the first place. That kind of debt, the kind of debt that causes stress, that's enslaving, is what we call the bad debt, and the fake debt is what we're going to explain today. Here we have a picture of Jacob Rothschild. He says, "Hello there." This is probably not his true words, but it's as if he was saying this. My family is worth $500 trillion. We own nearly every central bank in the world. We finance both sides of every war since Napoleon. We own your news, the media, your oil, and your government. You've probably never heard of me. So this is called the deep state, the cabal. These are the people behind the scenes that have orchestrated the debts against governments and therefore secondarily against the people. And then you have President Andrew Jackson in 1834 saying, if the people only understood the rank injustice of our money and banking system, there would be a revolution by morning. Isn't it interesting that it's almost 200 years later and the situation hasn't changed that much? Now, we have a U.S. Supreme Court case that says fraud vitiates the most solemn contracts, documents, and even judgments. And then a little cartoon showing the banks saying we surrender. So, ladies and gentlemen, you have a legal as well as an ethical basis for eliminating your debt for the simple reason that fraud was committed by the so-called lender. We call them pretender lenders. And these banks, these financial institutions that issued a Discover card or a Visa or a MasterCard or a student loan to you basically created the money out of thin air. That's explained in many, many videos, many books, many webinars, many websites. The book I mentioned, The Creature from Jekyll Island, it's described in detail in there. It's called the Mandrake Mechanism. They never loaned you anything. It's not like they had $1 billion in their account and they took $10,000 out of it and loaned it to you. And now they're $10,000 short until you pay it back. That's what most people think. No, that is not what happens. It's kind of like writing it on a napkin. So it's just computer entries out of thin air, and that's called fraud. It wouldn't be fraud if they were open about it. If they were to say, well, we all have the right to create money. We can set some laws on how much money everybody's allowed to create. Everybody can have equal opportunity to do so. And it's like Monopoly, and it's an open information, and it's a fair system, it's transparent, it's honest. If that were the case, it would not be fraud. Where the fraud comes in is where they create it out of thin air, but they pretend that it was something irreplaceable. It was something that they already had and they loaned it to you and they don't have it in their possession anymore. And then that if you don't pay it back, they're going to use force to come against you and make you pay it back because they're hurt financially. That's fraud. And we have the absolute irrevocable proof of that in thousands and thousands of cases who have used our Liberty Debt Elimination System since 2002, in which not a single one of those cases has ever shown any evidence, let alone proof, not even a shred of evidence by the banks that they ever produced a legitimate loan at all, that any money ever came out of their accounts, or that they complied with the truth in lending laws. So that's why this Supreme Court case is so important, because you could say, well, yeah, but I signed the original loan agreement. Can't they hold me liable for that? And the answer is right here in this U.S. Supreme Court case. No, because it says fraud vitiates. That means it eliminates, it
nullifies.
It nullifies the most solemn contracts, documents, and even judgments. Really? You still trust the lenders? All right. The difference between good debt and bad debt. This is real important. We'll breeze through this quickly. Are you willingly, consciously, and constructively using the credit system to access capital for profitable investment or business expansion? In other words, are you in debt voluntarily, making more in profit or interest with the borrowed capital than the interest you are paying on it? If so, this is what we call good debt. This is debt which is good for society because it's being used to increase the sum total of goods and services available in the world. And the old saying is, if you want to sail tall ships, you have to be willing to go into deep water. It is good to repay this debt because it builds good credit and makes more available for further expansion. On the other hand, is your debt involuntary? Is it debt which happened against your will because of expenses beyond your means? And is it debt which is producing more of a liability and a loss against assets than benefits? Is it an enslaving influence, difficult to escape, causing more suffering than blessings? If so, then this is what is called bad debt. This is debt which should be avoided or eliminated if possible. In many cases, this kind of debt has been deliberately used as a weapon by dark forces against individuals, companies, governments, or whole nations. And again, I refer people to The Creature from Jekyll Island, or if you're more of a collegiate kind of PhD, scholarly type, go to Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins, and Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullum. Texts like these chronicle the use of debt as an act of war and parasitic exploitation against whole countries. Now, you have to understand, you will actually be helping the economy by eliminating your fake debt. Payments to most credit card issuers, student loan agencies, and other institutional lenders are giving money to an international crime syndicate that is extracting value from society via the magic trick of making false debt look real. This has supported a parasitic system. By stopping the payments on these phony debts, you are withdrawing your support from these parasites. You are voting with your dollars for a better world by redirecting valuable funds to more life-supporting causes. Thus, it is not only legal and ethical to stop making these payments, it is also beneficial to the entire world economy.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you, and I agree. I mean, it is. It's very true, and people have to understand it's not that you're not paying your fair share and you're being sneaky and you're cheating the system. Not at all. On the contrary, you are actually helping the economy, and if you really understand that clearly, you would understand it is your obligation to do so. I've told many people, if I were a billionaire and I had $20,000 in credit card debt, I still wouldn't pay it. Unless I were wanting to build up, the good side of debt and play that game in order to access, business investment capital and that sort of thing. But if it was debt that had been accrued in the past due to being, a victim of the system, no. So keep the good debt for profit, eliminate the fake enslaving debt. Yeah,
Townsend, I would add here that the people that have some kind of a tinge of guilt conscience over this, that, something about this isn't right, they simply don't understand how the money system works and how it was set up and how we all are being victimized. And yes. So for anybody that might feel that way, you perhaps have a little bit of research to do with the references that Townsend has given you with those books to understand it better and really understand how we all are enslaved by this system, and why your family doesn't have the things that it should have if we had an honest system. Okay, so that's what it comes down to. Think about the lack and the things that you'd like to have, that you need to have, that you don't have for your family, and with that in mind, take a look at the monetary system. So just a point of perspective there.
Well, it must be said that you are not required to read all these books and study all these videos to be successful with the debt elimination system. But Mark is correct that if you want to assuage your guilt, or if you want to overcome your skepticism, and you are curious and you want to understand why are we saying that you can cancel the debt? Why are we saying it's ethical? Why are we saying it's legal? Why are we saying it's good for the world? Then read the books and study the videos. And there are videos on the Brilliance in Commerce website. There are videos in Mark's Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel. Study them, read, watch them, and educate yourself. And perhaps if you weren't already up to speed on all this, a fire will be lit under you, and you will be enthusiastic, and you will be inspired, and then you will share it with your neighbors and your loved ones. The other thing everyone should know, you are not going to have to expect to get into some serious battles with dark forces. Don't worry about that. It's very rare that any of our people ever have to confront the enemy, okay? So don't worry about that. Only 1 to 2% of our people ever have to go to court, and even that process we make fairly easy, okay? So even though we're talking about massive crimes that the financial system is creating and that people have been victimized by, and that sounds kind of, what does it sound, as if we are, you know, defiant and rebellious and so forth. Well, stand in your light, stand in your strength, but you don't have to be thinking that, oh, there's going to be a big stressful battle ahead. No, 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 no. This is an administrative process. It just involves sending letters. And if you are educated on the why behind all of it, you'll have the strength and you'll have the inspiration and the confidence to proceed. All right, so let's get into the how of it a little bit, the debt illusion and how to erase it. We have, first of all, I want you to know that the Liberty Debt Elimination System from La Verité's Brilliance in Commerce is the only one to our knowledge in America which always works because it addresses the heart of the scam, that nothing ever came out of the bank's funds to make the so-called loan. It has incorporated all the best methods, techniques, features, and laws of every other good debt cancellation system. So did you notice that we're talking about the heart of the matter here? How many other companies out there have you ever heard of that do this? You go to the typical law firm that deals with debt, and they'll just send you to bankruptcy. That's all they know how to do. Or you go with some companies and they'll say, well, you can consolidate your debts. Okay, put them all together, negotiate a lower payoff, and then, you know, have less of a burden, but you still assume that it's a legitimate debt, right? And then you have to pay it off. So that's called consolidation, negotiation, reduction, payoff scenarios. We don't deal with any of those because we go right to the heart of the matter. Is the debt itself legitimate? That's what we address. Very few companies do that. And so far as we know, of the few that do address that, we have the best techniques. Mark, you want to tell about this video?
Yeah, on that particular topic, this video in the Lighthouse Law Club YouTube channel, you'll find this in most popular uploads or most popular videos. This goes into a courtroom scenario whereby a banker is on the witness stand being cross-examined by an attorney for the plaintiff who has sued the bank for fraud on the basis that they never loaned him anything other than his own credit that he created. And so this is highly educational. This goes right to the heart of the matter, as Tonson is referring to, as to what exactly is the fraud involved. And this is a very illuminating video. It's been copied by many people and has been, it really has gone viral over the internet and YouTube. And so this is fundamental knowledge for everybody if you're not already aware of the fundamental fraud of the credit system. Okay, so you can go to the YouTube channel, just look up Lighthouse Law Club, and you'll see this thumbnail for the video in the most popular playlist, and also in the series of videos that we have, Run Bankers Run. So very informative, goes right to the heart of the issue. Tonson.
And Mark, you made this video yourself, right?
Yes,
So thank you. That's fantastic. And with Mark's permission, I have agreed to send out the link to it in my next newsletter as well. So there are a number of excellent videos demonstrating the fraud that the banking system, and that's why so many alternatives have been being discussed in the last few years. We've had Basel III at the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. We've had cryptocurrencies rising. We've had all kinds of alternatives to this corrupt system proposed and actually being implemented in the last decade. So the education is spreading, and there definitely is a global transformation in money taking place. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is called Beat the Bankers, Eliminate Debt. Look at it on YouTube, and we're going to continue with some other resources here for you. Now, why your loans under the Fed system should be canceled. The loans that can be canceled are really magic tricks. They are the vast majority of instances where Visas, MasterCards, and other unsecured lines of credit received money that the financial institutions created under the Federal Reserve System and never had any deduction out of their accounts. Rather, they simply did a computer entry where they created it out of thin air. This is called the Mandrake mechanism. They have nothing at risk. The fact that they pretend otherwise is fraud. This is in violation of various lending laws with which we confront them. Thus, the reason we have a 100% success rate in canceling those debts is that we challenge them to prove that they really loaned something, that money really came out of their accounts, and that they have had something at risk. They can't do it. They consistently default on our requests for discovery, so they quietly let us go and cease trying to claim or collect. But for every one of us, there are a million others who are clueless, who blindly go on paying their hard-earned money to the international crime syndicate called the money lenders. In truth, they are pretender lenders. So another reason why the syndicate lets us go is that there are so few of us. Those of us who challenge the phony, bogus loans and get them canceled are such a tiny minority of the population that the syndicate just considers us a cost of doing business, and they go on exploiting everyone else. There are hundreds of books, websites, seminars, and documentation out there proving this. It's no secret. It's extremely well known these days worldwide. It is the fulfillment of the dream of the dark force on the planet to a large degree, as expressed in the statement by Baron Rothschild in the 1700s, "Give me control of the nation's currency, and I care not who makes its laws." One classic book that summarizes this is The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. And another is Secrets of the Federal Reserve by Eustace Mullen, but that one is more dry and academic. Ed Griffin's Creature book tells the same story in a far more interesting and colorful way, presenting specific names, photos, dates, facts, and evidence. Now, one could argue, well, the banks and the Federal Reserve System provide the medium of exchange, i.e. the money, and administer that system, and therefore should be paid for this service. If so, then the honest way to do it would be for them to charge a small nominal fee, like 0.01% of every transaction worldwide, for maintaining the money system. That might be fair. It would be open, honest, transparently visible, and mutually agreed upon by everyone. But paying back 100% of the value of the transaction plus usurious interest is nothing less than outright theft and extortion. It is a parasitic influence on the global economy and has destroyed countless lives. It is wrong, and it must be stopped. For every debt cancellation system we sell, and for every debt cancellation system a new customer implements, the economy is improved by that much. The economy is improved because money that was otherwise going to the international crime syndicate, which they then use to hire armies of mercenaries to organize the banking and court systems against us, is money that is now going instead to one's own presumably harmless and life-supporting home, living, and household expenses, and perhaps education or creative and constructive projects. It is withdrawing money from what is harmful in the world and redirecting it to what is helpful. This is a most beautiful fulfillment of the purpose of ethics. Now, a warning is that most lawyers and accountants do not know the true basis of money and credit. So if you were to take our system to most of them, they will say, oh, stay away from that. They're afraid of it because they're ignorant. They haven't been educated in it. They are brainwashed. So you will not find success in eliminating your debt or even in understanding this process properly by going to most lawyers or accountants. We have had, in addition to successes with the administrative approach, we have had a 100% success in court cases, in all cases where the client fully cooperated with our legal team. We've had people with judgments, so it is not too late if you already have a judgment against you from a credit card, what they call default, okay? It's not really, because remember, the loan never existed. But if they call it a default and issue a judgment against you, and then you heard about us, it is not too late. Yes, you will have to pay a little more because you'll have to hire our legal team, but yes, we can help. What you'll have to do is file a counter lawsuit against them as plaintiff, probably in federal court, and overturn that so-called judgment, all right? But the others where the customers, the 1 or 2% of our system who get sued after implementing the system are then defendants. Our legal team also provides the defense and either gets the cases dismissed or defeated. So we win. Again, in every case, so far, knock on wood, I'm not predicting the future, I'm just telling the truth about the past. The God-honest truth is that in every case where the client fully cooperated with our legal team, the cases were won on behalf of the client. Now, let's look at some of our successes. These are unusual. You do not expect to see a piece of paper or a computer screen, usually, that will confirm the cancellation of your debt. Why? Because if they were to put it in writing, in most cases, they are afraid, and correctly so, that it would spread virally. It would go spreading like wildfire. So, yeah, we don't usually see, most cases, you don't really see a piece of paper or a statement showing, yes, Mr. Johnson or Mrs. Smith, your debt is hereby canceled. But I think they let a few slip through the cracks accidentally. This one is from the IRS, and it is from September 14th, 2015. Okay, and you'll see some numbers mentioned there, 24,729. I'm going to go to the next one here. And then you see, that's interesting, cancellation of debt. So in this case, the customer of our system has absolute proof from the Fed itself. This is one of the best and most authoritative proofs of cancellation of debt by the Liberty System. This customer began the process in May of 2014, received this victory statement in September 2015. The fact that the IRS is saying this customer owes income tax on the canceled debt is of no concern because we showed her how to convert the payment coupon into a money order to pay it. The IRS calling it income is absolute proof from the Fed itself that the debt cancellation worked. Now, an update to that is that there are other solutions as well, because since then, they have not been always honoring the money order process. Therefore, there are other processes. We had a CPA for a while who was showing people how to file as indigent. Well, you could have hundreds of thousands of dollars in net worth and still file as indigent because of not having what is defined as the kind of money that would be taxed. So that's another approach, and there are other approaches as well. Suffice it to say, if you were one of the unusual cases where 1 in 1,000 you got billed by the IRS for your debt cancellation, just let us know, and we'll have one solution or another from our variety of legal sources. All right, here's a student loan discharge. It's interesting to observe that here is a confirmation in writing of the U.S. Department of Education ceasing to collect on a student loan. Usually student loans are hard to cancel because of hardball government enforcement of their crime syndicate tactics and less consumer protection laws, but here it is. All right, that was the first top of the statement. And it says, U.S. Department of Education holds the following defaulted. Now that's an insult, it's not true, but student loan or grant claims which it intends to collect by Treasury offset. What do they mean by that? Treasury offset against all payment streams authorized by law, either currently or in the future. That's a whole other conversation. The fact that there's supposed to be billions and billions of dollars in our Treasury Direct account against our Social Security number that we're not being given access to. And it goes on saying these payment streams may include but are not limited to federal and or state tax refunds and so forth and so on. So that's their little legalese. Now I'm going to give you some interpretation here. Note that they have insulted the customer by saying he defaulted on the loan and implying that offset is somehow disadvantageous to him by saying you can avoid offset. Ladies and gentlemen, apparently this is the best we can expect from a corrupt system. The proven fact is, as you know, there was no loan and money never came out of their accounts. Hopefully you have observed here that they are ceasing their efforts to collect. They are referring it instead to the Treasury, which works with the Fed to create money out of thin air using the Mandrake mechanism. So it is not coming from other taxpayers. That is what we call, why we call this a victory statement. It is a win for the student and for society. He borrowed nothing. Instead, he merely exercised his natural right to create life-supporting benefits by applying for the student funding and receiving it. Instead of that $46,134 being added to the trillion spent on underground cities, chemtrails, black ops, secret space projects, mind control, and other population-damaging campaigns, it went to someone's harmless, helpful, constructive, and life-supporting education. He had no obligation to, quote, repay it because they lied when they call it a loan in the first place. Nothing came out of their accounts, and they have lied again on this statement and said, when they said he defaulted, how can you default on a loan that never existed? They have done the right thing by setting it off to the Treasury. Now, maybe in the future they will even begin to get more honest about the non-existence of the debt in the first place. And last but not least, here are some salient comments on this statement from the customer himself. Keep in mind that he had to keep sending the Liberty documents from June 2014 to August 2015, 14 months. He says, I do give my permission for the sanitized version of the Education Department letter. Please, anything I can do for others. This has been quite a ride. The Education Department ran me through many different entities, and I stuck it out and kept lettering them all. I never gave in. I stuck to my resolve. That's the secret as far as I'm concerned. No matter what they throw at you, never give up. Thank you. Life is good. Now, please understand, ladies and gentlemen, as well, that if you have a student loan and you wish to cancel it with our Liberty system, it is highly likely you won't have to wait 14 months. You won't have to battle it as long as this customer did. So although this is a victory letter, it is perhaps one of the more difficult cases. Most people have their debts go away, at least credit cards, within 3 to 6 months, and you're only sending something about once a month. So it's not something that need to drag on always for that long. In conclusion, this is yet more evidence that the pretender lenders and their credit reporting agencies have no answer and no defense to the challenge in our Liberty documents. These credit reports provide absolute proof that in just 3 months they recognize that they are caught, and they're unwilling to continue lying, saying that the customer's payments are late on loans that never legally existed in the first place. This customer filed her Liberty documents in January 2015 and stopped making her monthly payments from then onward. This report came in April 2015. As you can see, it says amount past due, 0, and status pays as agreed. In this next one below, a student loan, it says date of last payment 10/2014, but amount past due, 0. You could think, okay, that's because she paid it off. So see, balance amount $1,513. So this is most definitely not paid off. Instead, it says status paid as agreed. How could they say that if she had not made a payment since 10/2014? It's because the Liberty challenged their phony debt and embarrassed them, and they don't wish to argue. Similarly, with this Bank of America credit card below, it shows date of last payment, 12/2014, and amount past due 0. And yet it was not paid off. Balance amount, $4,508. It is further confirmed by date of first delinquency, left blank. And this one confirms that consumer disputes this account information, which is a positive statement of truth in the customer's favor. Now, these are actual credit reports from, let's see, TransUnion. Oh, okay, those might have been Equifax or Experian. But anyway, this is a TransUnion report. You can see that her American Express account is listed in the satisfactory accounts section, even though the balance is $9,756 and the payment received is 0. It further states that the pay status is current, paid, or paying as agreed, while at the same time they admit in their remarks that DISP, INVG, COMP, and so on. It basically means dispute, investigated, COMP, I don't know what that means, consumer disagrees. So that's their code language. All right, now, invincible evidence. The banks haven't beaten this even in court. The Liberty legal resources include an experiment that actually records the actions of the bank's internal accounting during a loan. Now, this is a little different, Mark, than the video you made. You had a court scene where this same information was litigated. But there was also a collegiate study, an actual, it's like a scientific experiment, a forensic study done where they went in and they audited the actions of the bank's internal accounting during a loan. The experiment concludes on all 3 major points that the bank created the money with no offsets to any accounts. This is one of the empirical evidences supporting the Liberty System's main allegation, to which the banks have no defense.
Is there a reference to that information somewhere?
Yes. I've asked my webmaster to post it on our website. Until that gets done, I've emailed it to anyone who asks. We posted it in our newsletter. I'll be happy to send it to you.
Okay, great.
And anyone listening who wishes it, you're welcome. Copies of your letters. So when we give you your template letters to send to the pretender lenders, it'll go to either the bank itself or the collection agency, whoever's trying to collect. And the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, and the head of the legal department of either the bank or the collection agency. And then to the 3 credit reporting agencies, Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And finally, last but not least, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Do you see their logo there? It's a flashlight, it's a spotlight. And the banks don't like that light shining on them. I wish we had another victory letter that came in more recently. I haven't got it into the slideshow yet, but it came from one bank that basically referred to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in the most straightforward victory statement we have seen. I mean, it wasn't playing games. It wasn't compromising. It wasn't like, putting it into coded language. It was just saying in a straightforward manner that this matter has been settled in your favor, written to the customer. So that is why we have you sending copies to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Now, videos. We were talking about videos. You want more education. You want understanding. You want to know more about this. How does it work? Why does it work? Should I do it? Is it right? Is it safe? Am I going to stay out of trouble? Is it going to work for me? You will get more and more and more confidence as you get more and more knowledge. So the videos that are available through Our two organizations, the Brilliance in Commerce and the Lighthouse Law Club, show why and how the Liberty System works. Entertainingly, they provide the wow revelations essential for a clear understanding. So watch them to see and hear other authoritative voices confirm these facts, and it's knowledge that you may wish that everyone could have, that blows minds and opens eyes. For those listening audio and haven't had the visual on the screen, and for your records, the website is bit.ly, bit.ly. You can write this down if you have access to a pen or a keyboard. If you're driving in the car and listening, please keep your eyes on the road and play this back later at home. But it's B as in brother, it.ly/kill the debt. So basically KILLTHEDEBT. So bit.ly/kill the debt. And that is where you will find all of the information we're talking about here today. All right.
Well, at this point, then, that's a great information, Tonson, and I'm sure we could go on and drill down in many areas, but at this point, we'll just open up the floor to questions. And since we are in webinar mode, we are not interactive on audio, but we can take your questions if you want to text those into the chat box on the lower left of your screen, I believe it is. So let's take a look and see where we're at here with some questions. Go ahead, folks. One question, Tonson, is does this work for someone in Canada? Tonson, you did something to mute your microphone. If you could just click on that icon there and unmute yourself. But to answer that question, I'll do that. The concepts are the same worldwide, all right? However, the letters that we have here are geared for the laws and legal system as structured in the U.S. Okay, I think we mentioned that earlier in some of our material. Here's one from Pam. How does the process work when there are co-signers on a bank loan? Do all have to participate equally in the process? I can see Tonson's trying to get his audio working again. He's not coming up. Okay, so we got co-signers on a loan. Well, since this is an administrative process, it may be a matter, and Tonson will correct me if I'm wrong, but it may be a matter that the letters are signed by one or both of the parties that are on the hook for the so-called obligation.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what happened.
I had a glitch, but you're here. Okay. So here, why don't I read the questions, Tonson? You're not real familiar with this platform. We'll handle that as we go. Here's one that says, I had an old credit card and did not repay with a bank in 2000. They refused to let me have access to my account and kept my money in the account. So we're dealing with a bank, I guess. I want to clear this up so I can reopen an account with the bank. So apparently there's some bad blood with the bank going back a few years. He says, upon last contact, they said I have to talk with the legal department and pay half the debt first, which is $5,000. Sounds like a normal situation, right, Tonson?
Is it your understanding that the questioner is saying that he had a checking account with money in it in the same bank?
Yeah, that would be my understanding. The debt was from an old credit card with a bank, but they didn't let him have access to his account, which I presume would be another account where he had money kept. So checking.
Right.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Now, the fortunate thing is that I am not aware of a single one of our thousands of customers of the Liberty system ever having had any funds confiscated from a checking account if they had a debt cancellation going on at the same bank on a credit card. However, nevertheless, just to be safe and prudent, we always recommend before commencing a debt cancellation process on a credit card that if you also have money in a checking account at the same institution, withdraw it. You know, take that money out, put it somewhere else in some other bank, some other institution. In this case, the gentleman's saying, well, it already happened in the past. Therefore, what he would have to do is, number one, purchase our system, and number two, hire our legal team. Now, one of the things I didn't say earlier is that we don't have very high expenses with our legal team. We're not talking 5, 10, 15,000 like you typically pay attorneys. We're talking $250 to be a plaintiff on a federal lawsuit per court filing, or maybe $250 to start and then $150 per court filing. Tiny little peanuts fees like that. So it's very compassionate. It's very merciful, easily affordable by most people. Okay. So this, if it's a gentleman or a lady, you would have to sue them to get them to release that money. Otherwise, they're not going to release it. If you don't want to do battle with them, then you're going to have to acquiesce, pick your battles, and go on to something else.
Yeah. Okay. It's interesting, the slide on the student loan, and I've seen that before in other instances where they threaten you with taking it to the Treasury for offset. Well, that's really laughable because that's a very favorable thing to do.
Absolutely, it is laughable.
Take it to the Treasury and do the offset, man. I got my account there. That's what this
will you please do so?
Yeah, they make it sound like some terrible thing, Oh my
God. May I make just 3 quick comments? Number one, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone who is listening today, if you were referred by someone other than Mark Emery and Lighthouse Law Club, and you have an affiliate, an existing affiliate, would you be so kind, please, as to use that affiliate's link in making a purchase of the Liberty system? Number two, please be aware that there is nothing illegal and nothing unethical about canceling the debt on the card on which you pay the fee to purchase the system. The fee is $450. It's a one-time lifetime fee for an unlimited amount of debts for one household. That means one married couple, one individual, and anyone living in that household. And so that one fee is peanuts compared to the debts that can be canceled. It's usually about the amount most people spend in 1 or 2 months on the debt servicing. And that amount, if you put it on a card on which you have that much credit and then put that card into the debt cancellation system, you end up effectively receiving the system for free. There's nothing unethical about doing that. Right. And my third comment is that if you should wish to be an affiliate and wish to receive commissions for sharing this with others, with your friends and family and associates, or if you're a professional marketer, a networker, and you would like to send this out via social media, have my team speak on, or myself, on radio shows or TV shows, conferences, you can be an affiliate with us. You can sign, if you were introduced by Mark Emery and his Lighthouse Law Club, under his link, www.bit.ly/killthedebt. Or if you were introduced by another affiliate, go under that affiliate's link and click in the upper left of the website where it says affiliates. It takes about 10 minutes to sign up. It's free, and be an affiliate with us and we'll welcome you. So those are my initial comments, and let's get back to the questions.
Okay, so Michael asked, with a summary judgment, what are the hangups? Well, you already talked about the summary judgment and getting those taken care of, right?
Right.
You covered that presentation. Okay, so there's quite a few, so I'm going to go through them pretty quick.
Yeah, just basically we'll assist you in countersuing and winning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the winning part, and I like that part of it. All right. Jim asks, can this process be used successfully in canceling a mortgage note? No, we've said several times this is for unsecured credit, Jim. Xavier asks, if your debt was sent to a collector, can the system work for that and the credit report be repaired? Well, I think the answer is of course, right, Thompson?
Yes, we find that the debt collectors are even easier pushovers than the original banks, and we beat the banks all day long. So we've never lost in any of the cases with the banks, but the third-party debt collectors, the junk debt buyers posing as law firms that are collecting on behalf of the bank and whatever, don't even have access to the bank records. So they have even less ability, if there ever would be such an ability, to validate the loan. And so they just give up. And we have an arsenal of weapons that are in addition to what we use against the banks to use against the collection agencies. So yes, 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 they're very easy to defeat. And what was the last part of it?
I've already deleted it.
Okay. All right. Anyway, yes.
Through fast. All right. Let's see here. I thought I deleted some of these and they keep coming back. There's lots, so I'm trying to sift through them. Can I eliminate federal student loans by Great Lakes, Sally Mae, Navient, and credit card debt from USA Bank? I think the answer is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who the credit comes from,
unless it's from your mother.
Yeah, right. Then you probably ought to pay her back. Keep things.
Or your father.
Yeah.
But yes, if it's a financial institution under the Federal Reserve System, it doesn't matter if it's government or government insured or whatever. It's running the same scam and the same fraud. And yes, we defeat those.
All right. Okay, Cross asks, I have money to pay the student loan, but would like to use this to cancel. Is that a problem that I can't prove financial hardship? Well, no, it's not. Fraud is fraud. Doesn't matter what your condition is, Cross. So no need to answer that one, Thompson, unless you want.
No need. That's the good news. No need to prove financial hardship and no need to file bankruptcy.
Yeah, that was never even mentioned in the presentation. So
right.
No need to bring it up. All right, can a bank be challenged after auto loan secured debt has been paid off? So that's an interesting one.
Yes. However, we can refer you to firms that deal with secured debts. We are not affiliates. We just do a favor for those who inquire about it. Car loans, home loans, mortgages, that sort of thing.
But this one's already been paid off. There's no more security.
Yeah, but they could still do a lawsuit. They could mount a lawsuit and say, I've come into some new information and discovered that that was a phony loan, and you owe all money back.
Super damages.
But good luck. If you want to go on the warpath and try to win that money back, we can refer you to people that do that. But that's expensive, and that's not what we specialize in.
Okay, good. All right, so Rofi asks, who can I contact to start the process? Well, Rofi, you've seen the web link in umpteen of the slides here. There's one at the bottom of the screen. Go there and open your eyes. Be alert. The breadcrumbs are everywhere.
Yeah, get back to the person who invited you or go to bit.ly/killthedebt. And if you have questions that are not answered in our frequently asked questions on the website, click on Contact Us on the website and you'll send in a help desk ticket. We'll be more than happy to answer your questions. Also, it's recommended, if you haven't already, read the ebook. The ebook is in the debt cancellation section of the website, and it says download here. It's also for sale on Amazon, but you may as well get it for free on the website.
Yeah, I'm sure many people already have. Timothy's asking, will the process work with an alleged secured debt, i.e. home loan? Timothy, we're talking about unsecured debt here, all right? Unsecured debt. No home loans, no mortgages. We've said that during the presentation. Chelsea asks, I supposedly have a judgment against me, but it doesn't show up on any credit reports. And I haven't heard from the collectors in a while. Do I need the system to get rid of the judgment? It's not showing up on the credit reports.
Yeah, if it's not a problem for you, then maybe you don't need to do anything. But if it does show up, and if it's a practical problem, you wish to overturn it, purchase our system, $450, and then inquire with us about legal assistance. We will connect you with our lawyer, and then you will sue them to overturn the judgment.
Okay, we've got Andrea asking about filing taxes, getting assistance with taxes. How can I hire your legal team? I'll let you handle that one, Tonson.
We don't provide legal advice or financial advice or tax advice, and we don't provide any tax assistance or information other than the fact that the trust is a vehicle into which you can transfer all of your current commerce, and the trust has no filing requirements because the IRS perceives it as a pass-through. And therefore, if you wish to run a business, have your investment income, any other kind of independent contractor income, or small business salary, any other assets, income, monetary value placed into the trust that then becomes unreachable, untouchable for any income tax purposes. That does not change your individual status. So if you are an individual filing and paying income tax, it doesn't change that, but you can take things out of your personal name and put it into the non-taxable trust. And that trust information is on the very same website where you would find the debt elimination information.
Good. Okay. Here we have.
I would also just say that Mark, in his Lighthouse Law Club, has a lot of programs to educate you on upgrading your individual status so that as an individual, you become untaxable.
Yeah, we've got tons of information there. All right. So, Tonson, how would this work? This is from Abra. How does this work when someone has a debt? They're getting a government disability check that's being garnished to pay the debt.
It would take a lawsuit. It would take purchasing our system and hiring our legal team to put a lawsuit together for you.
Al's asking, I came late, is child support applicable? No, this has nothing to do with child support, Al.
If you have medical bills, child support bills, those kinds of things, it would take other types of programs and litigation to address. We're talking about where money was loaned on a credit card, a Visa, MasterCard, Discover card, a signature line of credit, a student loan, that sort of thing.
Okay. Art's asking, been foreclosed. Can I go after a bank for wrongful foreclosure? Wrong place to ask that, Art. We're not talking about foreclosure or mortgages here. We're talking about unsecured debt. But to answer your question, yes, plenty of information on that at the Lighthouse Law Club website. Okay, lighthouselaw.club. Lighthouselaw.club. Plenty of information there. Or on our YouTube channel, we have the Run Bankers Run video series. Be sure to check that out on the YouTube channel, Lighthouse Law Club. Okay? Lots of information there on foreclosures and mortgages. Would this work for unjust child support debt? I think we've answered that already. Sifting through some of these. Looks like we've got most of them here. Here's Brian. So if I cancel the debt, does it close the account or can I keep it open?
Yes, it closes that particular account. It does not prevent you from going out and getting credit at other institutions. But of course, the account whose debt you are canceling will be closed. That institution probably will not want to do business with you again. Mark, I did see one that popped up because I only see them for a couple of seconds. You have, I guess, the entire list there, but one of them was asking, what is the impact on the credit report? So while we have 100% success on canceling the debts, we have more like 90%, maybe 85 to 90% success rate in protecting one's credit that has improved over the years. It used to not be an issue. Then they got harder and harder, so we started fortifying our system. And as you saw in the slideshow, we have you including copies of the correspondence to the 3 credit reporting agencies. And we have been inserting more and more laws into the letters that we send to them so that they are being forewarned that if they put the wrong thing on your report, they will be sued. And yes, our legal team will arrange a lawsuit for you if they don't report correctly. So most of the time they do the right thing. It does not blemish one's credit. I can refer you to any number of people who have done our debt cancellation system and their credit report remained the same or even improved. It also depends on the pre-existing circumstances, how old the debt was before you came to us, how long it's been overdue, what other bad marks you may already have, that sort of thing. But the debt cancellation process itself need not necessarily impact the credit. If you're one of the few that it does impact it erroneously, we have not only our legal team who can arrange a lawsuit for you to force them to correct it, but we also recommend a couple of excellent credit repair people out there who specialize in getting negative marks off your credit report and restoring and raising your credit score closer to 800.
Yeah, that's pretty strong. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up there. A number of our questions were kind of off topic, so I'm not going to take up time to do that right now. So let's just leave it at this, folks. You've got any further questions, follow the breadcrumbs, go to the website, do what you need to do, investigate this further if you still have questions, and I'm sure either what you find on the website or through a help ticket, you'll get the information you need. And with that, thank you for your time and attention tonight. Tonson, thank you very much for
thank you, Mark,
for being with us. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. And everyone, I highly recommend Mark's programs as well. So please look into his Lighthouse Law Club. It's one of the best on the planet.
Thank you. Thank you for recognizing reality. I'm sorry. I'm normally a humble guy, but, you know, I just got to pull the top off once in a while. All right. Take care, everybody. God bless. Tonson, thanks. And we will be in touch with all of you soon, I hope. So have yourselves a good evening and a good rest of the week.